Okay, so now we're going to talk about factoring trinomials using AM or the graphing calculator. So what we're going to really be doing here is reverse engineering. What did we have to start with to arrive at these trinomials? I do want it noted that every one of these trinomials begins with a just 1x squared or 1n squared or 1h squared. For the purposes of saving me a little bit of time, I just did them all with x's when I came up with the solutions. So if it says n and I used x, just you know what I mean. Okay. So I'm going to just pause for a second and ask you to try number 8 real quick, just to see what you might remember from previous math courses or trying to reverse engineer on your own. Stop and start, then I'll go over it. All right. So the first thing I notice here, let's do this as if we're doing it using AM. I know we say AM and I put the M first, but I really want the focus to be on the M. See, the A, the add, goes to the middle term, and the M, the multiply, goes to the last term. So I have to multiply out to 20, and I need to add up to 9. So I ask myself, what two numbers multiply out to 20 and add up to 9? Well, multiply out to 20. There's 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 3 doesn't go. But wait, what about 4 and 5? So I say, okay, lights flash, bells ring, I come up with 5 and 4. Because 5 times 4 is 20 and 5 plus 4 is 9. So I think I've got the right answer. So let me write them as binomials and then let me do a quick mental check back, because you always want to check back. So x times x is x squared, x times 4 is 4x, 5 times x is 5x, 4x's and 5x's do add up to 9x's, and 5 times 4 is 20. So I have the correct answer. What if you wanted to do it on a graphing calculator? Well, then under y1, you would put whatever the last number is divided by x. And just like when we work with exponents, it's really safe. You're best off just putting it in parentheses. So I type in 20 divided by x. Then under y2, what I'm always going to put is whatever it said under y1, including the parentheses. This is why the parentheses are important. Parenthesis 20 divided by x, parenthesis, and then I'm just going to add the suffix, if you will, plus x. So every time it's whatever it says under y1 plus x. When you do that and you look in your calculator, look at the third column for where it says 9, and then look at the two previous columns. It will say 5 and 4 in either order, and that's where you write the binomials x plus 5 and x plus 4. So now, using either the AM technique or the graphing calculator technique, whichever you prefer, try number 9. Go ahead. Okay, I assume you did stop and start. If not, do so now. So what am I looking for in this problem? I'm looking for two numbers that multiply out to 20 and then add up to 10. So, okay, here's my two numbers that, add up to 12. Two numbers that multiply out to 20, add up to 12. Well, let's see. We got 1 and 20. No, that adds up to 21. 2 and 10. So 10 and 2 are the two answers I'm looking for, I think. So let me try x plus 10 and x plus 2. This quick mental check will confirm everything. X times x is x squared. X times 2 is 2x's. 10 times x is 10x's. 2x's and 10x's do add up to 12x's. There's my A part, right? M is at the end, A is in the middle, just like in the morning, AM. And then 10 times 2 is 20, so the M checks also. So most of the time, these are fairly easy, and you can get them off the top of your head. But if you're not comfortable, not a problem. Go to the graphing calculator. In the beginning, just like the other time, you put the last number divided by x in parentheses. So under y1, you put 20 divided by x in parentheses. Under y2, always whatever you wrote in y1 plus x, always. And then you would just look in the last column, where does it say 12? And then you look at the two previous columns and you'll find 10 and 2 in either order. Okay, so that is how we do our factoring using either the AM technique or the calculator. Now, a lot of times you can do the AM technique off the top of your head, but sometimes if we get to bigger numbers that we multiply out to, like let's say we put down 1,000, there's so many factors of 1,000 it might drive you crazy, and then you might be better off doing the graphing calculator. So don't just ignore both ways to do it. Even if you're like, no, I got this, I can do this in my head, it's still worth knowing the graphing calculator way. Okay, let's try numbers 10 and 11. Try them both, and then we'll go over them in a minute. Go ahead. Okay, so using the AM approach, I want to multiply out to equal -18, add up to -7. What numbers might do that? -18 add up to -7. Well, certainly not 6 and 3, but 2 and 9. Now that has hope, because when you multiply out to a negative, the signs have to be different, and then when we add numbers with different signs, we actually end up subtracting them because we take them away. So in this case, I think -9 and 2, that's who I suspect the factors are. Let's try distributing back. X times x is x squared, x times 2 is 2x's, -9, always peeking in front, -9 times x is -9x's, positive 2x's and -9x's do indeed add up to -7x's, and -9 times 2 is -18. So I'm sure that this is right. As far as what to enter into your calculator goes, of course in parentheses, -18 divided by x. We always want that last term divided by x. For y1 and for y2, we do the same exact thing we had in y1, parentheses -18 divided by x, and then we always use the suffix plus x. Then we look in the y2 column for -7. That's just the A column. That's all it is. And then we look at what the two previous columns say, and it will tell you -9 and 2. Okay, for 11, I'm looking for two numbers that multiply out to -10, add up to -9. Sometimes these drive students crazy, but they're actually the easiest ones. But the problem is people don't think of 1 times things. But the factors are going to be -10 and 1. Let's check. X times x is x squared. This is the quick mental check that's so important. X times 1 is 1x. -10 times x is -10x. And -10 times 1 is -10. So yes, I'm multiplying out to -10. I'm adding to -9. If you had chosen to put this in the calculator, y1 is -10 divided by x. y2 is the same exact thing, plus x at the end. Make sure you include the parentheses. Okay, so now let's have you do numbers 12, 13, and 14, and then we'll go over those. Go ahead. Okay, so with number 12, I want to multiply out to equal -40. Remember, multiply to the last term, add up to -3. That means, as I think about it, the factors of 40. We got 1 and 40, 2 and 20, no 3, 4 and 10, 5 and 8. 5 and 8. 5. Well, in this case, you're multiplying to -40, so one of them has to be negative. So I'm going to go with -8, because -8 plus 5 does add up to -3. Quick mental check. X times x is x squared. X times 5 is 5x. -8 times x is -8x. And that adds up to -3x, and -8 times 5 is -40. What should you put in your calculator if you're doing it that way? Y equals parentheses -40 divided by x, and y2 is always the same exact thing, plus x. And then you look in the last column for where it says -3, and if you look in the previous columns, it will say -8 and 5. So I don't know if you struggled in high school with factoring, but if you did, and you had a graphing calculator, if you struggled, I tend to think no one taught you this technique, because the calculator does do all the work for you, and I would suggest that you take the time to practice the technique and learn it. It's a big help. Okay, next one. Let's see what you came up with here. I need to multiply out to -12. I need to add up to +1. What two numbers multiply out to -12 and add up to +1? Let's see, there's 1 and 12. That's not going to work. Since it's -12, I'm looking for a difference of 1. 2 and 6, no. 3 and 4. 3 and 4 will do it. Now, in this case, it's a -3 and a +4. Let's just look for a pattern here. Whenever it's negative at the end, I look at the beginning, and in every single case, whether it's negative or positive at the end. This sign of the middle number will always be the sign of the biggest number. See, negative, the 8 is bigger, it's negative. Here, the 9 is positive and the 5 is positive. Here, the x is positive and the bigger number, the 4, is positive. So that's worth noting just as a little thing to follow through on. It's really not that important because if you double distribute and check back, you'll see that it works. X times x is x squared. X times 4 is 4x. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. 4x's and negative 3x do indeed work out to 1x, which is what we wanted to add up to. And negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. Okay. Using the calculator, I want to type in parentheses, negative 12 divided by x for y1. And in y2, we always do the same exact thing as in y1, and then the suffix plus x at the end. Number 14, what do I want to multiply out to here? Positive 6. Be very careful because sometimes people start thinking 6 and 1 here because of that 5. But I'm multiplying out to positive 6, which means the signs are going to need to be the same. And I'm going to add to negative 5. So how can I multiply out to 6 positive? I could do 1 and 6. They add up to 7, not 5. And I can do 2 and 3. 2 and 3 will get me 5. So in this case, I want negative 5. So instead of positive 2 and positive 3, I'm going to do negative 2 and negative 3. Quick mental check. Always want to do that. X times x is x squared. X times negative 3 is negative 3x's. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x's. Add up negative 3x's and negative 2x's. You get negative 5x's. And then negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. So bingo, everything checks. On the calculator, we'll do parentheses 6 divided by x for y1, because that's the last term divided by x. That's what we always want. And then for y2, it's the same exact thing as in y1 with plus x at the end. And then, of course, in the last column, you look for a negative 5, and then look at the numbers in the 2 columns before that. And it'll say negative 2 and negative 3. Okay, so in order to fit all on one video, here's our next slide. And I'm not going to talk as much on the next slide. You're just going to try all 7 of these questions. And then I'm going to put up the answers. You're going to do stop and start. I'm going to put up the answers, do a quick reference of all of them, show you that they work. And then if you did anything wrong, I think that what you did wrong will become apparent in that, okay? So stop and start, and then we'll do all 7. Go ahead. Okay, so let me put up the answers to all 7 of these guys. Okay, for the first one, I'm going to multiply out to the last term, which is 20, add up to the middle term, negative 9. I double check, x times x is x squared, x times negative 4, negative 4x's, negative 5 times x is negative 5x's, add up negative 4x's and negative 5x's is negative 9x's, and negative 5 times negative 4 is 20, so that works. This is what you would put in the calculator. Likewise, for number 9, I'm just going to ask myself, well, how can I multiply out to 20 and add up to negative 12? And that answer is negative 10 and negative 2. Quick mental check. X times x is x squared. X times negative 2 is negative 2x's. Negative 10 times x is negative 10x's. That adds up to negative 12x's. Negative 10 times negative 2 is 20. So that does check. And I'm going to put the same exact thing in the calculator as on the previous problem. The difference between numbers 8 and 9 is in number 8, I'm going to look for where y2, that last or third column, says negative 9, whereas in y1, in number 9, in y3, I'm going to look for where it says negative 12. And then when I peek in the columns before what I'm looking for, in the number 8, it'll say negative 5 and negative 4, whereas in number 9, it'll say negative 10 and negative 2. Okay? Here are the answers to numbers 10 and 11. You'll notice that I have to multiply out to equal the last number. That's always the case. Negative 21 add up to negative 4. So I get negative 7 and 3. And this time on the calculator, it's parentheses negative 21. Always the last number divided by x. And for y2, always plus x. In the middle column, I'm going to look for negative 4. And as I look back at the 2 previous columns, in either order, it'll say negative 7 and 3. Likewise for number 11. You can see it there. Okay? What do I look for in the last column on number 11? If I do it on the graphing calculator, I look for a positive 9. when I look, see, look, I got number 11 wrong. I just did a quick mental check and I got number 11 wrong. Can you believe that? They add up to -9 and it wouldn't be there. Wow. So this should have, the sign should be reversed here on number 11. This should be a +10 and a -1. See what the quick mental check catches for you? Definitely worth doing. Okay, number 12. That's what I would type in. Let's make sure I'm right here by quick mental check. X times x is x squared. X times 8 is 8x's. -5 times x is -5x's. They do indeed add up to a +3x's or h's, whatever. That works. Then -5 times 8 is -40. So that is good. We got that correct. You can see what you write here. It's always the last number divided by x. And the last, for y2, it's that plus x, always in parentheses. And under y2, you want to make sure that you look for the column. In the column, you want to look for 3, and then look at the 2 previous numbers. In either order, they will be 8 and -5. Okay, number 13. And number 14. Okay, so those are your standard factoring problems. Okay, just to emphasize on number 13, if you use the graphing calculator, you're going to look for the last column where it says 2. Look in the 2 previous columns, it'll say 7 and -5 in either order. And number 14, we're going to look where the last column would say -8, and we look in the 2 previous columns, it'll say -5 and -3 in either order. Okay, so that's factoring trinomials using either the AM technique or the graphing calculator technique. And we are going to do another day of this, so it's not like this is the only day that we're going to do. Okay? All right.